When it comes to baking for their kids, no one does it better than Mom. As a pastry instructor, published author, and award-winning chef, I feel it's important to always remember how it all started. Family traditions and baking with my mom is where it all began. In this series, I bring together my love of homemade bakes with a pinch of culinary creativity. Join me, Aaron McInnes, and my special guests as they share their family recipes with me on baking it up a notch. My mother-in-law's blueberry pie is a family favorite and a tradition that goes back generations. No matter how hard I try, my wife and children will always choose hers over mine. Nothing beats coming home and sitting down to a cup of tea and a lovingly prepared treat. Today, we're in my kitchen with my mother-in-law, and she's brought us a blueberry pie. Sandra, why don't you tell us about it?
Well, Aaron, this pie, I picked the berries, I made the jam, I made the pastry. My family, as you know, love to eat this for desserts, for Sunday dinners.
Sandra, why don't we slice up a piece of that?
Sure. Now, we don't have ice cream. We don't have anything with us, so we just have to try it like this.
The pie speaks for itself. It doesn't need the ice cream, trust me. Good. As good as always.
Still pass the test.
Still pass the test.
The jam is just nothing special with the jam. It's just sugar and a little bit of cornstarch for thickening.
So I think today our plan is going to be to turn this pie into some toaster pastries, or as a Newfoundlander would like to call it, a blueberry flip. So let's clear all this out of the way. Let's grab our aprons and start baking it up a notch. So Sandra, we're going to get started, I'm guessing, with your blueberry jam.
Blueberry jam.
All right. So I guess we'll start with a pot, hey?
I always use a spoon. I'm very,
Don't have any of the fancy tools.
No, I don't like the fancy tools. No, we'll just put this in here now.
And so these blueberries are Newfoundland berries, hey now?
Always Newfoundland berries, although no, Nova Scotia berries not bad either.
Nova Scotia berries aren't bad either, I know. Homage to home a little bit.
Yep, usually have a few in my freezer for special treats like blueberry pie and blueberry pudding and sauce. So that should be enough sugar.
So we're gonna cook this down for a couple of hours, but for the sake of needing 24 hours to make and cool this jam, you brought us a jam already ready to go, right?
That's right.
Perfect. So we'll cook this down for some pie later for the grandchildren, but while this is cooking, we're gonna get our pastry going.
Okay.
Sandra, why don't you walk us through making your pie pastry, because like I said before, my wife hates mine.
Okay. Well, we'll start with our flour.
Okay.
And our sugar, which is already measured.
Perfect.
Butter is a little salt. And then you just put that one in there.
An egg.
Then you wash your hands, which is already done, and then you make your crust.
Perfect. I always said God gave us the best tools.
Probably you can take the cover off of this one for
I
me.
certainly can. I am your sous chef today.
Very little water.
Oh gosh, she's trusting
Okay,
me.
no, I'm not gonna make you throw that.
Yeah, I knew she wouldn't trust me with that.
If I make a mistake, I can get a couple of, little bit of flour to go in there.
Yeah, I don't want to be responsible for ruining it, so I'll let you do that.
Okay.
So the process isn't too much different than the
No.
pastry I make. The real big difference between your pastry and mine is the amount of sugar that goes in there. Perfect. So your pastry's just about together now. You make.
I think that's good.
You think that's
I
good?
think that's good.
All right. Well, if you think, I think. So,
I always use a cloth here too. I don't use this, but I'll do it your way today.
and see, I've never rolled dough out onto a cloth before, so. Now. All right. So naturally or normally, we would want to roll this out, say, to a circle because we'd be making a pie, but we're going to be cutting rectangles today. Okay, Sandra, we got it all rolled out to a nice thickness, and I'm just gonna use a pizza cutter. Naturally, you could use a knife or any sharp object, but a pizza cutter works perfect, and we're gonna cut this into some rectangles. This amount of dough, maybe 4 nice size pastries. All right, we have our 4 pastries cut out, and Sandra, I know naturally you take all these scraps and you always make a little cinnamon roll cookie out of them.
That's right.
So why is it that you do that?
Well, there is a couple of people that do not like blueberries. I have one granddaughter that don't like blueberry pie, so she loves cinnamon rolls. So that's why I make the cinnamon rolls.
So you gotta please all the grandchildren.
I gotta please all the grandchildren, naturally.
Just what grandmothers do. So Sandra, you mentioned when rolling out pastry that you typically do it on a towel. Where did that come from? Like, how did you learn something like that?
My mom. My mom always used a tea towel to roll out her pastry on.
But why not just the counter?
Well, at one time, now a counter was not like this.
Right.
It was a different kind of counter, so you may not have had the soft surface when I was growing up,
Right.
younger, right? There was like probably a rougher surface, so she always put a cloth on it, and she's a really good pie maker too.
This is your delicious jam that we had pre-made. Get a spoon here, and we're gonna put a dollop of that inside these. Now, naturally, if I were to put this in here and try and fold it over without, we'll say, gluing it together, it's just gonna all fall out. We would take an egg wash, which is simply an egg with about a tablespoon of milk or cream. If you don't have either of those, water will do the trick. And we just run it around the edges of our pastry, and then we fold them up. How about you fold one, and I'll fold one too. You got this. You've made these before.
I've made this before, indeed I have.
Maybe round ones though, hey? Throwing you for a loop with the rectangle.
I'd go for different shapes sometimes, right? Like
real fancy.
Then you take a fork.
All right.
Do yours
You do
first.
yours or you show me?
What I would do.
And the purpose of this is just to make sure it's nice and sealed.
See how
okay?
it-
We want the pastry to stick together, we just don't want the
No,
fork
we don't
to
want
stick
our fork to stick on.
together. Here we go.
And then I would put,
And what's the purpose of doing that?
let's let the steam hit the jam.
Perfect. And onto a baking tray. How did I do?
Wonderful. Yours went in a little bit further than mine, so I got to put mine in a little further too. A bit jam coming out through the side.
Right, and we'll just finish up the rest of these pastries. We got 2 more here. The trick is not too much,
Not
but you
too
don't want
much.
too little. So I really don't know what the trick is. It's just hope for the best, is it?
Hope for the best.
We're gonna fold these ones up. Now we've got our oven preheating. You can make fancy cuts on the tops of these with a knife, but when you got a good old fork, that'll do. Oh, I overfilled that one. I overfilled this one too.
That's okay. These look good.
As long as one of them turns out nice, hey?
Where were you going with that one?
Uh-oh, I didn't put
That's
them on
okay.
I didn't even put them on the tray good enough.
They gotta be even. They gotta be even.
So Sandra, I almost forgot, we gotta throw an egg wash on these before
That's
we can
right.
get them into the oven. So again, just the same egg wash that we sealed the pastry with. Brushed
Make them nice and shiny.
It makes them shiny and nice and golden when they come out.
That's right.
And sometimes on my pies, I like to take a sprinkle of sugar right over the top.
See, more sugar.
More sugar. Can never have too much
All about the sugar.
All right, we'll get these in the oven at 350, and while they're baking, we'll clean up the counter and we'll start on the glaze to put over the top once baked.
That's right. Good.
All right, so our toaster pastries are in the oven. We've got our counter all cleaned up. We're gonna just make a simple glaze to go over the top. Nothing more than a bowl of powdered sugar. It's a lot of heavy cream, but we're not gonna use all that. Worst case scenario, we just add a little more extra powdered
That's
sugar.
right. You really can't go wrong with that, you know. That's right.
You could certainly color this if you wanted to make these fun for kids. You could put a little bit of food dye in there and color them up, but we're gonna keep it nice and simple with just a simple
We like the plain
old Jane. All right, it's been about 20, 25 minutes, and the pastries are ready to come out of the oven.
Oh, they look good, Aaron.
They look delicious, and they smell amazing. And now let's glaze them. All right.
Try one, I'll try.
They're still warm, so that glaze is gonna fall over the edges, and it's gonna be nice and gooey and delicious. Now, I know you're not a big fan of sprinkles personally, but you could put a few sprinkles on the tops of these for the kids. I know one thing, they're looking incredible. I can't wait to break into one.
Remember, we like a lot of sugar.
I'd say it's time to grab our coffee and have a taste.
Good working with you.
As always. Well, I certainly wouldn't complain about sitting down to dinner with one of those. What do you think the rest of the family's gonna think?
Well, I would say some, hands down the pie, but your pastries they're good. The grandchildren would like them in their lunch can, but some of the older family members go and take the pie.
You wanna pick your pie every time. I don't blame them, it's a delicious pie. Sandra, it's been a pleasure having you in my kitchen today. Your beautiful pie was delicious. The toaster pastries, well, they turned out okay too. I wanna thank you for baking it up a notch with me.
It's been a pleasure, Aaron. We enjoyed being in your kitchen with you, and we never had one fight. So where's the rolling pin?
Thank you for joining me. Until next time, my sweet friends, have a good day.